Well, hello to all of our listeners. Thank you for joining us today. Today I'm joined by Itamar, who is SEO manager at Cure Media. We're going to be talking a bit about keyword research, kind of the do's, the don'ts, the it depends, as we all like to talk about in SEO. But I know, Itamar, you've done quite a lot of work in terms of like with SEMrush in the past. You've done a lot about YouTube, kind of keyword research. I know you talk about it a lot in podcasts, etc., etc. So I really wanted to talk to you today about kind of your top tips for keyword research, how you approach it, and any kind of other advice you can give our listeners.
Sounds great. Let's do it.
Perfect. Cool. So I guess the first kind of question and a nice easy way to go into this is, how do you approach keyword research from an SEO perspective? And then obviously any other channels that you would normally do keyword research around, like YouTube, anything like that.
Yeah, that's a good question to start with. And I think to the point that you've brought up about different channels, that like different channels do work differently. So it's like if we're talking, for example, doing keyword research for Google, that's going to be quite different to doing keyword research on YouTube, for example. So there are differences between different channels. Now, of course, Google is absolutely like dominant within the sort of search industry. So it's like it does make sense to obviously have more of a priority in terms of like how should we do this correctly for Google. But that's not to say that it's like we should ignore everything else. You know, there's still maybe one or two people that use Bing. And that was meant to be a joke. But
It was a good
yeah,
one.
thank you. But yeah, in terms of like approaching it, so I think fundamentally what you need to do, right, is if you've got, and let's say this is for Google because we want to rank websites here and we want to do keyword research for a website. You need to consider what the website is actually about, and you need to do this or understand it holistically. So it's like you need to know what the offering is of the website, and you need to also know different ways of explaining it, because there's certain like if we're talking keywords here, there are different there are different words that mean the same thing,
Yeah.
right? And there's also there's also the same words that mean different things. So for example, like the word college in the UK is quite different from the word college in the US,
Yeah.
right? So it's like there are some words that will be the same words, but they have different meanings and interpretations. But there's also very different sounding words that still might mean the same thing. So that's what I mean about kind of like knowing different ways to describe an offering, because it's like, yeah, if you think about car,